Been planning on doing this topic today, but I was reading the news and I came across this article that said 3 in 4 CEOs fear losing their jobs next year. And I saw the surveys done by Alex Partners, another company we own. Actually, did quite a bit of business with them back in the day, so well aware of who that company is. But on that topic, I'm just saying some of the things that we're seeing as a company that does executive career coaching, resume writing, all that fun stuff. There's definitely sentiment going on where there's a lot of concern going into 2022. One of the things that I'm talking to CEOs and even my own friends that are in the C-suite at companies is that there was $6 or $7 trillion pumped into the system in the last 18 months, and you saw revenues at companies go way up. You saw companies have their best year. You saw places like Peloton double their staff, I think. Don't quote me on that. It was kind of peak everything. Money was just rolling in. Everyone in the country was flush. So it's the most money we've probably ever seen across the board. All levels of income had so much money that got poured back into. We overconsumed. And I think that's another issue why we have supply chain issues. COVID's one, but our overconsumption is another. So you watch all these revenues skyrocket. Now you had people in the C-suites sitting back and saying, "Hey, look at what I did. Look how good business is. We're booming right now." It's okay. Oh, well, okay. If you want to take the credit for the rise, you're also going to take credit for the fall. And that's where that negative sentiment's coming in right now. Because now that the money's going to start drying up. Now, keep in mind, there's a 12 plus month period where we had a lot of stimulus money. We had a massive amount of unemployment money going out in the system. The state of Michigan alone issued $4 billion more in unemployment than they should have, if I recall. Um, People weren't paying their mortgages, their rent, or their school loans, and all that, not all people, but some people, all that money was going back into the economy. It's going to Target, it's going to Walmart, it's going to Amazon, going to cars. Bikes are sold out for 2 years. We just overconsumed, and it made everyone at the top of these companies look a little bit better than they really were. The problem is, it was nothing they did. It's just that we had so much extra money in the system, it made everyone look great. The problem is that money's drying up. You got to pay your rent now. You got to pay your mortgage. School loans were supposed to start in January, but they got bumped up till May now. But when people got to get back to real life and pay all their bills, that money dries up. The stimulus money has dried up. The fat unemployment's gone. Bitcoin and like all the cryptos were up. Every asset class was up. Stocks up. Bitcoin up. NFTs are booming. As that money starts to dry up, we're going to spend less money on items. And then all of a sudden, forecasts that these companies aren't going to be looking so good. We've already seen it. If you've been paying attention to the stock market, a lot of companies have been missing their targets. And then they blame COVID, they blame supply chain, but no one's blaming the fact that we just don't have as much disposable money to spend anymore. We printed $6 or $7 trillion that we know of, anyways. So yes, that is going to make every company look great. Other than the airlines and travel that got hurt from COVID. If you were in retail goods, things were just booming. So yeah, if I'm a CEO right now, there's no way out of it. How do you get out of it? Do you want to jump on a shareholder call and go, "Hey, things are looking down for the next 2 years"? They're going to fire you on the spot. So I think every CEO right now is wondering, well, what do I do? We just seen the best years we're ever going to see, and there's no way to get back there. You can't compete with trillions of dollars of liquid money getting pumped in the system. So I think when you look at these surveys and you talk to people, the people I'm talking to, we own a handful of executive search companies. These are conversations that go on every day. I know quite a few people that are executives at companies or own their own companies. And these are the conversations that are going on. This can't stay this way forever. Things don't go up in a straight line forever. Eventually that bubble pops. And then everyone's going to be pointing a finger at the CEOs. So if I'm in the C-suite right now, I'm sweating. Because I know that bubble can't last forever. So my thought is, it could be 2022, it could be 2023 when this whole thing pops. We don't know. Just be ready. we know this because I've seen this in 2001 when the economy crashed. I saw it in 2008 when the economy crashed. We get very busy when recession hits, and you start to see people getting concerned. They start getting their resumes on work. We do resume writing. Obviously, we see that happening. You start to get these little signs that people are getting a little scared, and it's just one of those things that I don't know how you tell someone, like, how do you get out of this mess? It's like everyone's going to want to go back to that COVID revenue. They're going to want to fire this CEO and then get the next CEO to try to get us back there, get us back there. There's no going back there unless we keep printing trillions of dollars. And I think companies need to just get that out there. The shareholders, the board, everyone needs to understand we're not going back there. It was a one-time blip where we pumped so much money into the system. We're now sitting back and saying, why did we do that? This is why inflation's raging out of control right now. And we got so much money in the system, they don't even know how to get it out. So, between supply chain issues, COVID, knowing that revenues and profits are probably going to drop unless you're one of these, like, booming tech companies. Yeah, I'm a CEO, I'm concerned. I want to say I caught something on Bloomberg this morning that said, I can forget how many IPOs happened this year, but how many of them are actually under where they launched. Yeah, it's not looking good right now. And we know that, all the buck stops with the CEO. The people at the top, their heads are going to roll. And it might not be anything they've done. It's just the fact that the board and the shareholders are going to say, well, I want to get back to here. I want to get back to August 2020 when things were booming. The problem is you're not. And I'm going to keep saying it. You can't compete with six or $7 trillion of liquid cash in the system. It was a heyday. It was the best boom we've ever seen. It was crazy. But unless we keep printing money, we're not going back there. So I understand if you're a CEO why you're on edge right now. So, and there's probably not much you're gonna do. Be ready. Figure out what your plan is. Get your resume ready. Obviously, we're a resume writing company. I'm gonna say that. Get a plan together. Start networking, and then you figure out where to go from there. But all bubbles pop at some point. If you look at all asset classes, homes, cryptos, U.S. equities, everywhere you go, things were in a bubble. And eventually that bubble will pop. So, will it be a slowdown or will it be a collapse? That's the only question. We hope for a slowdown and then we slowly build back up. That would be the best case scenario. We got 3 interest rate raises next year, they're saying. And I think we're so used to seeing 25 basis points. Don't be surprised if they're 50 basis points or more. We got to get some of that money out of the system, which again, we're going to take some of that money out of the system with interest rates, which is going to mean less money supply, which means less money to be spent on goods, which you're going to see revenues and profits drop again. And we're going to be right back in that same conversation of, well, we got to get a different CEO because revenue's down. Well, revenue is going to be down compared to 2020 because we didn't have $6 trillion of cash pumped in the system. So I'm not going to keep repeating it. But anyways, if you have any thoughts or questions on your career, what you're planning for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, resume questions, college questions, check out the top comment below. There's a form where you can send your question in and we'll try to get you featured on the show. But until then, we'll catch you on the next one.